Welcome to the show. My name is Charlton with Big C. This is Charlton and Big C Sports worldwide on the Big C Sports Network, the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to Big C and them good old boys down south. I want to say bienvenidos to all of our listeners in Latin America, across the pond, in London, England, as well as Paris, France, and you good old boys from Canada. You know I love Canada, especially after today. A lot of good things happening in the border up north. Also, I want to say for all the people listening, today is a beautiful August the 11th, 2017, in the land of the free and the home of the brave, and so many things happening in the world of sports and politics. But I do want to tell you what's happening big in the world of sports for you Dallas Cowboy fans, and obviously a lot of people in America call the Cowboys America's team. And I think what just happened with the Dallas Cowboys is something that may start happening all across the sports leagues in the United States of America. If you're accused of hitting women and domestic violence, and there's always two sides to the story, I don't think the commissioners are putting up with that garbage anymore. I know sometimes people can be accused of something they did not do, and that's one thing too. But I do know this. If you look at Jerry Jones, he just gave his Hall of Fame induction speech just over the weekend. Actually on Thursday, and over through the weekend they were doing all the celebrations, starting out in Canton, Ohio. And of all people, Jerry Jones, who's one of the most respected and most powerful leaders of the NFL, he was saying in his Twitter campaigns and other social media, he didn't feel that his player Ezekiel Elliott would be suspended for beating up a woman. Now, in some circles, I'm not naive, I know that's acceptable. It's acceptable because people do it, and they do it with impunity. If they did not do it with impunity, you would not have owners advocating for an athlete who just beat up a woman or allegedly beat up a woman to get right back out there and start playing that game, because you got to make me some money. You can't lose Jerry Jones' money. Now, just ask yourself this question. Sports is a $1 billion industry, and it's dominated by men. And when you have sports that's dominated by men, I want to ask every man, what's the message we want to send our young boys? Do we want to tell them if you're a good athlete and you can do no wrong and you won't get punished and we're always going to blame somebody else? Now, I think that everybody that are doing the sports business, we all want to have our opinion, and we all think that we know what happened and how to make things right in the NFL. But if Ezekiel Elliott can get suspended by the Dallas Cowboys, what does that mean? And he loses 6 games. I think Ray Rice, he was only suspended 2 games, and his was on videotape by Roger Goodell. So they wanted to get it right this time, and obviously by trying to get it right, they decided that they're going to give Elliott 6 games. And again, everyone who thinks about domestic violence in the NFL, when Ray Rice had a picture on an elevator, I think, punching his wife, well, the NFL had already seen that episode. But now, and they gave him 2 weeks. Elliott gets 6 weeks because I think Goodell's trying to say he's being tough on men who do that. Now, Elliott says he didn't do anything wrong. We don't know because there's no videotape. But Big C, do you think the league, is Roger Goodell covering for what happened in the Ray Rice incidents and the league in itself? But nothing happens without his approval. Or is he just trying to make a bigger statement to say this is going to be the status, what happens going forward in the future? Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Jonathan, I don't know if it's a double or triple standard the way the NFL is looking at things right now. We've seen several rookies that were drafted by the NFL this year that had incidents that occurred while they were in college.
Yeah.
The NFL said that there would be no action because these are incidents that occurred prior to them being members of the NFL, being drafted by a team, Jonathan.
Yeah.
This was a situation with Ezekiel Elliott also.
Yeah.
But I think what has pushed Ezekiel Elliott is that he's had 2 incidents occur, alleged incidents, since he's been in the NFL. One that we've seen on videotape.
Yeah.
But also the fans must understand that, okay, the owners gave the commissioner ultimate power to make the decision. Not only did the owners, Jonathan, but the players gave it to him. Everyone agreed on this 6-game suspension in the last collective bargaining agreement, and without cause.
Yeah.
Once this was laid in stone because the players wanted more money, the owners wanted more money. Goodell makes all of them money.
Yeah.
That's what you must understand. You think about the witch hunt that everybody said that went on in New England last year.
Oh, about the jersey.
With a deflated football.
No, the football,
okay?
yeah.
This domestic violence thing is very serious, Charlton. You have to understand, if you're a cognizant young man, all right?
Yeah.
There's no reason why you should have to put your hands on a woman. You know, and we all know that these are alleged incidents, but all these women are not running in crime. Just like Josh Brown's wife.
Yeah.
You know, former wife.
Yeah.
There's some status to what's occurring with these guys. And, you know, in Elliott's cases, it's been multiples, all right?
Yeah.
And we've seen it on the field. But the league and the players gave the commissioner the right, and the owners agreed to this 6-game suspension, as well as the Players Association. It just didn't come out of the blue with Goodell saying, okay, I'm going to give the guys 6 games.
Yeah.
This was something that was agreed to in the collective bargaining. If you have domestic violence, and it should have happened to Josh Brown, even though it didn't last year.
Yeah.
But they wanted the money. And if you give us more money, we will agree to a lot of things. The players had the right to arbitrate and say, no, we don't want this. But think about this. We only hear about the players who are committing problems.
Yeah.
There are more players in the NFL without problems, Charlton, than there are with problems.
That's a very good point.
We only hear about the ones who are creating these heinous events, okay?
Yeah.
Who are creating criminal offenses. We don't hear about 95% of the NFL that lead a clean slate. It's just like police officers, Charlton.
Yeah.
We only hear about the few that do these incidents and we get caught on camera.
Yeah.
But the rest of the police force is fine, Charlton. They're law-abiding citizens and they're upholding their duty, just as the players in the NFL. We don't hear about 95%, 98% of the NFL players getting involved in domestic violence, off-the-field incidents, Charlton.
Yeah.
You know, drug abuse, drug enhancement. We're not hearing that. There's a select group of people that we hear about this. And once the NFL gets to the point to say, okay, we're going to start dropping year suspensions for this stuff, players will think 2, 3, maybe even 4 times before they want to get involved in performance enhancement drugs, banned substance, and domestic violence, Charlton.
Well, Big C, that's a very good point. I do want to say that this segment is sponsored by your Northern California Cadillac dealers, home of the all-new Cadillac Escalade, the standard of the world. And when you go by and test drive yours, tell them Charlton and Big C sent you. Big C, I think right now is a seminal moment in the world of sports because you never hear about a small guy beating up a big guy. In the NFL, there are a lot of big men running around that are 6'4", 6'5", 6'6", 6'7", 300, 350 pounds or more. If you really want to find a fight, you can go find one of those guys that are 6'6", 350 pounds, punch him upside the head, and see what the reaction will be. But have you ever heard of any of these athletes, and we're not talking about all of them, just the knuckleheads that do it, have you ever heard of them beating up someone that's 100 pounds heavier and 100 pounds bench press stronger than they are, Big C? Your thoughts?
Charlton, you're not getting it, but think about the sympathetic crowd that's going out for Ezekiel Elliott. Okay?
Yeah.
Lucky Whitehead got cut for alleged shoplifting.
Yeah.
The former wide receiver of the Cowboys who is now a member of the Jets roster.
Yeah.
He got cut for alleged shoplifting.
For being innocent.
You know, Ezekiel Elliott has been accused 3 times and caught on tape once that we've seen of these incidents against women.
Yeah.
And there's a huge outcry for his defense. Think about that. Now you get accused, falsely accused, and you get exonerated by the police that accused you.
Yeah.
Versus incidents where you caught on tape and everybody's crying saying it's unjust.
Yeah.
This is what's wrong with society. And I'm not just jumping on Ezekiel Elliott. But when we have anybody, whether it's in mainstream America, non-athletic, that creates these type of incidents, we have a president who said this is what he does to women.
Ain't that the truth?
Nothing happened to him, you know, it was accepted.
Yeah.
But in the athletic realm, Charlton, you're held to a different light, all right?
Yeah.
People are looking at you all the time, whether it's from admiration or, you know, feeling that you're getting a break and they're not.
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah.
And so, but Ezekiel Elliott, allegedly an intelligent individual, okay?
Yeah.
I say allegedly, just like the incident.
Yeah.
All right? Because you can't keep doing the same stupid acts.
No.
Eventually, you've done it. All right? That's the thing. You know, once, okay, we can say, you know, it's just like the other defensive back from Ohio State that was drafted by the Raiders. I think his name was Connors or whatever.
Yeah.
And he had the same type of allegedness at Ohio State.
Yeah.
Okay? We saw what happened at the University of Baylor with all these athletes and the alleged sexual misconduct.
Cost Browse his job. Cost Browse his job.
The coach's job.
Yeah.
Cost the president his job. Cost huge sanctions by the NCAA. We know what Jerry Sandusky did at Penn State. You know, he went to prison.
Yeah.
Cost Joe Paterno his legacy.
Look at Hugh Freeze. Just the allegations of I guess an escort service cost him his job. He didn't beat a woman up.
Hugh Freeze, the coach at Mississippi, look at Louisville a couple of years ago with the alleged escorts.
Rich Pitino.
Also, the Duke lacrosse team, Charlton, from several years ago, cost them their sport.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
All these kids get kicked out of school. So at some point, you're in college. You're supposed to be in an institute of higher learning. Okay?
Yeah.
Show some intelligence. I mean, we all do things throughout life that we're not proud of.
Yeah.
But, you know, now with this social media and everything, the spotlight can be on you from any and everywhere.
Yeah.
You have to be the smartest person in the room, especially if you're an athlete. If you're a person, period. You can't go out and say, like the president, it's just boys being boys.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
It's not like that. Here it is, this guy has a 6-game suspension, which he's going to serve. Goodell doesn't lose. We've seen that.
Yeah.
He's going to serve the 6-game suspension.
Yeah.
You know, Jerry Jones is part of this committee, okay? Of this discipline committee. He voted for this. He voted for this. He didn't expect for it to come back.
Yeah.
To hurt him as an owner. But his daughter, after this was voted in last year, also went on media and praised this.
Yeah.
You know, that this is what the NFL should do, which is rightful, Dalton.
Yeah.
But they didn't expect it to come back and affect the Cowboys.
Well,
but hopefully this is a wake-up call that Ezekiel Elliott can be a template for the rest of the players in the NFL. Hey, keep your hands in your pocket. Stay away from certain incidents. Because after Ray Rice lost his career. All right?
Yeah.
Ezekiel Elliott lost 6 games. Ray Rice lost his career.
And
Lucky Whitehead got cut for allegedly shoplifting. So Ezekiel Elliott should be down on his knees praying, Charlton, just like he would do, after scoring a touchdown.
Yep.
That, hey, this is all I'm getting, that I'm not being released by the Dallas Cowboys.
Well, Big C, look at the irony of this. You just talked about the kicker for the New York Giants last year. Over 20 incidents. Josh Brown, over 20 incidents of him kicking or beating his wife up 20 times where law enforcement was called 20 times. Now, how does Ezekiel Elliott get accused of striking a woman one time and the other was pulling a woman's bra, but striking a woman one time? He loses 6 games. Did anything happen to Brown and the Mara family? Because ironically, with the New York Giants right now not having any punishment for what happened to Brown, they'll most likely win the NFC East if things go according to, if you take away all the yards that Ezekiel Elliott gets. The Giants will most likely win the NFC East this year, but their own player who did what Ezekiel Elliott did times 20. Nothing happened to them, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, he did it as a professional, not as a college athlete, as a professional athlete. And so that's what's so egregious about this. You know, even though he deserves what he gets, it's egregious because the white player had nothing happen to him. And his went on over a 3-year span, Charlton.
Yeah.
A 3-year span of beating up his ex-wife. With police calls, the Mara family, the owner of the Giants, knew about this.
Yeah.
They tried to protect her and moving her to different places. They were aware of the beatings that go on, but they have so much power in New York, they can keep it quiet.
What do you think Goodell's issue with? What do you think Goodell's, Big C? You've been around the block. What do you think his conversation, and of course it's just speculation, but we're based on facts. One guy 20 times beating up his wife, nothing happens to him or the New York Giants. Elliott hits a woman once, allegedly, and he's suspended 6 games. If he did it 20 times, what would it be? Nothing like what happened to the Giants, Big C. What's the conversation you think with Goodell and the Mara family, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, the conversation with Goodell and the Mara family, Charlton, this is a conversation of symmetry. Is that we are one of the reasons why you're in this position, okay?
Yeah.
We can call a vote to the board. You love making $44 million a year, don't you?
Yeah.
Okay, you don't want us to call the board together to oust you.
Yeah.
You know, we can't have you slapping us with sanctions and making us look bad. We're in New York, the largest media capital of the world.
Yeah.
This is where your office is. You have to work with us on this. We will handle this internally and we will squash it through the media. We won't let it out.
Yeah.
But this, you know, if Goodell is an honest person, this is where he needs to come out and say, I dropped the ball on the Josh Brown.
He needs to. Amen. Just admit it.
You know, expeditiously.
Yeah.
On a regular basis. Okay?
Yeah.
I dropped the ball. I didn't sanction him because he was a white kicker in the NFL.
Yeah.
But when you look at the guys that I've gone after for domestic violence, they've all been black. Okay?
Yep.
Adrian Peterson, all right?
Yeah. And they can.
I didn't get Josh Brown.
Yeah.
I got Ray Rice.
Yeah.
I'm getting Ezekiel Elliott, and I've gotten a few other African-American athletes. But the white athletes, they get the counseling. This is what they get. They don't get suspended. They don't lose 6, 7 games, 9 games, a season, a career, okay?
Yeah.
This is not what they lose. So there's a double standard. Oh, I went after Tom Brady, though, because he let some air out of a football.
Yeah, while he was playing. While he was playing, right.
But the white kicker, okay, that beat the crap out of his wife, I didn't bother with that situation.
No.
I let the Giants handle that. I let the Giants handle the white kicker who beat up his wife 20-plus times and was called, law enforcement was called in on it.
Yeah.
As a commissioner, you really have to look yourself in the mirror and say, am I honest?
Nope.
Am I fair? I'm judge and jury now. I'm the total judicial system of the NFL. But am I fair? Is this black and white literally?
Yep. Big C, all people have to do is Google it. That's the best invention in technology. Just Google it. You don't have to listen to ESPN, Fox Sports, Big C Sports. You can Google it for yourself, and you can be your own judge and jury. Just look at what happened and how the crimes are ferreted out. I do want to say sports is a billion-dollar industry, and boys and girls sports is the foundation to this billion-dollar industry. And for every industry you need sporting and athletic events insurance. We work with Ben and Mark. They've been around half a century. They work with Big C Sports. Whether you're a pro team, a collegiate team, your high school teams, or mom and pop leagues, let them know that Big C Sports sent you. And so, Big C, I love this topic because nobody deserves to be beaten up. And can you imagine, no matter how big and strong you are, there's always somebody who can beat you. So hopefully Ezekiel Elliott will learn his lesson. But shame on Goodell for not doing anything to a lot of other players that happen to be Caucasian. And they were not suspended, not even one game. I just think that's a farce. And I want people to Google that so you can do it for yourself. Big C, also in the world of sports, you know, we have this golf tournament going on over on the East Coast in the Carolinas. And everybody's looking for a speed to try to complete the Grand Slam. I don't know if it's going to happen. Obviously, there's a lot of pressure that comes up to a young man when you're trying to do such a feat like the great Tiger Woods or the great Jack did and several others. But whether he does it or not, I just want to get your feel on it, because with NFL football starting, I don't think even that Grand Slam approach is getting the kind of attention it would be getting if it were Tiger Woods going after the Grand Slam. Big C, your thoughts?
Charlton, no one even knew this tournament was going on because NFL preseason
Yeah,
started, okay?
yeah.
That's how much fanfare that golf has right now. The minute NFL preseason started, it was over with.
Yeah.
That's the reason why the PGA has moved up its final Grand Slam event.
Have you noticed that?
A couple months.
Yeah.
Because they don't even want to try to track with football any
Yeah.
longer, Charlton.
Yeah.
When they had Tiger Woods around, Charlton, and golf was at its all-time high, they could compete with the NFL on Sunday.
Yeah.
When you had a final and Tiger was in it on Sunday, you know, the NFL ratings were way down.
Yeah.
Now there's 3 people watching a golf tournament when an NFL game is on, right?
Yeah. And we.
They right now are praying that somebody can come out and hold that candle. Even if Jordan Spieth wins this Grand Slam,
Yeah.
Charlton,
Yeah.
it won't have any fanfare other than a true purist golf
Yeah.
aficionado.
Yeah.
Because the NFL is playing, and in 3 weeks, Charlton, college football will be playing.
I can't wait.
Golf will be nil at that point because you'll have football 5 days a week.
Yeah.
So there won't be any time for golf. You know, it used to be that football started on Friday night with high school.
Yeah.
It starts on Tuesday, on Monday now.
Yeah.
It goes Monday through Sunday. So it's really 7 days a week.
Yeah.
When you look at football.
Yep.
So, I mean, golf, you know, it would be wonderful for golf to have somebody else win the Grand Slam at this young
Yeah.
age.
Yeah.
But there's no charismatic person out there. You know, when you look at golf, I mean, when Arnold was around, you know, he was charismatic.
Yeah.
You looked at Jack, he had that same characteristic about him.
Yep.
Then all of a sudden, this young Tiger Woods burst onto the scene, Charlton, and
Yeah.
just blew everybody away. He had everything that Madison Avenue wanted. You know, he was a good-looking young man, and he was a powerfully built young man
Yeah.
who could play the game of golf exceptionally.
Yeah, and that's very
He
true.
did all what was expected. He won.
Yeah, and people love a winner, Big C. Obviously, I will always say that a lot of what made golf exciting when Tiger was out there on the links is because he had a Caucasian wife, And America is still parts of America. They don't say it publicly, but they don't believe in miscegenation, and we see it sometimes in the criminal justice system. The crimes committed by African Americans are a lot more harsh by the jury systems in the United States than they are against our counterparts. I just want that people can Google that. Google the current commission. I'm big on Google, Big C. You can see I got a new iPhone. I'm learning how to work that thing. I'm going to Google everything. But Big C, I think you're right about that. I do want to touch on something too. The world of the NFL, because it is such a big thing, I just want to ask you, we have a couple of games going on tonight, and of course they're preseason. The Giants, the Pittsburgh Steelers are at the New York Giants. The Giants have to be very happy because of the news on Ezekiel Elliott. They really, with Marshall and also Beckham at the White House, and they got some other great receivers, as long as Eli Manning doesn't throw as many interceptions this year as last year, they'll most probably win the NFC East. But I want to ask you, Big C, what are your thoughts on some of the games? We have Tampa Bay at Cincinnati, San Francisco at Kansas City, and San Francisco, one of the most proud organizations in NFL football and in sports, period. They really fallen on hard times, and it started at the top. Just give me your assessment of what's going on in the world of the NFL and some of the top teams, Big C.
Well, Charlton, when you look at this San Francisco-Kansas City matchup, you got to realize Alex Smith was the starter there just several years ago.
Yeah.
And now he's coming back playing against the team that drafted him #1 overall.
Yeah.
This should be easy pickings for Kansas City. You got to have Mahomes playing quarterback, that #1 draft pick.
Yep.
Along with a backup kid, Tyler Brady, they'll get all the snaps.
Yeah.
San Francisco is looking at starting Brian Hoyer, who played with Houston last year.
Yeah.
But their team is trying to feel themselves, Charlton. Their team in search of an identity.
Yeah.
You have a new head coach, new starting quarterback. You're probably going to have 15 new players on the roster this year, Charlton.
Yeah.
Starting.
Yeah.
So this is a team that's hoping to get off the slide. That's all they're hoping for. You look at other games that are being played tonight, and you talked about the Giants at Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
The Giants have a tremendous receiving corps.
Oh, amazing.
They outstanding. They need to find a running game. They beat Dallas twice last year during the regular season. But don't count Dallas out, Charlton. They have Robert Morris. And he a couple of years ago, he was Rookie of the Year for the Redskins.
Oh, yeah.
Alfred Morris, excuse me.
Morris, yeah.
And he and Robert Griffin, he gained 1,500 yards 1 year on the ground.
Yeah.
So he is a very capable running back, and they'll have Derek McFadden backing him up. But we're really going to find out what Dak Prescott is made of.
Yeah.
And that's the key. They want to find out what Dak Prescott is made of. Did he rely on Ezekiel Elliott, or did Ezekiel Elliott get better because he had Dak Prescott in the backfield with him? I look at Cincinnati. Joe Mixon, the young running back out of Oklahoma that had a lot of controversy coming out of college.
Yeah.
He may end up being the starter in Cincinnati. They have Bernard and Hill, who have been excellent tandem for the past couple of years. But this kid Mixon is the real deal, Charlton, and he has the entire package in one running back.
Yeah.
So he should really help Cincinnati. Andy Dalton had a down year last year. They're really looking for him to come back. I think the loss of Mohamed Sanu, who went as a free agent in Atlanta, really hurt him.
Yeah.
They never really replaced him so people could concentrate on A.J. Green. And we also had the tight end Tyler Eifert that was hurt at the start of the season, Charlton. So look at Cincinnati being a much improved team. They also lost the defensive back, I can't think of his name at the moment, for a one-game suspension.
Yeah.
Adam Jones.
Pac-Man Jones.
Who's done that throughout his NFL career. I still wonder how he stays in, but he's always been on the commissioner suspension list.
Yeah.
And if Burfict can keep his head out of his butt, he can have a pretty good defense, Charlton.
I first saw Vontaze Burfict play at Corona, California Centennial High School in Southern California. He was one of the most dominant linebackers I'd ever seen on the high school level, next to DJ Williams, who went to De La Salle up in Concord in the Bay Area back in the day, and it went on to Miami. Vontaze went on to Arizona State, and then obviously he's playing right now in Cincinnati, but he's always been a troublemaker. The fact that he was going to play for Pete Carroll, and Pete Carroll in the Trojans that had a lot of players that got them on probation, they looked into his past and they said, we don't want that. He went to Arizona State, and the long story short, he's having the same behavioral problems in the NFL. But Big C, obviously, it's a tough business, and they got to figure out how they're going to fix that. I want to touch on this last thing with the NFL before I ask you one more subject. The Colin Kaepernick issue in the saga. We saw Baltimore with Mallett. Mallett's horrible, Big C. I pull for every player that can play in the NFL. But Mallett, he's horrible. And for them to say, well, we want this guy because Kaepernick's girlfriend may have said something that they didn't want to hear, which is just, everybody has their opinions. Well, Black Lives Matter doesn't want to hear black men being murdered by law enforcement and then having weapons planted on them. And now that we have a lot of video cameras, people see over the years the Kerner Commission was right. So NFL is not about your feelings. People want to say, well, I want people to like me. If your fans don't see you winning, they're not going to buy tickets. Does that just validate that they're wasting the other players' time by having Mallett as the answer why Flacco's out? Big C, your thoughts?
Mallett has never been the answer regardless of where he's been, Charlton. You and I talked about it a couple of days ago. He'll make more stops than a Greyhound bus.
Yeah, is the owner going to pray about it is the question. Is the owner going to ask the fans to pray for Mallett, or is he going to do a football decision and get people that can play?
Well, when you're a 6'6" white boy, Charlton, and they say you got a big, strong arm. We've seen that over the years. They always keep him around. But, you think about it. What other sport does an owner go out and tool the fans to say, hey, is it okay to sign a player?
Little League Baseball. Little League Baseball is the last I heard of it, Big Z.
Little League Baseball may even
yeah.
Football. But when you think about this, Charlton, you're trying to take the pressure off your back. Trying to say, hey, well, if we sign, it's going to be an upheaval amongst the fans. We're going to have 5,000 fans that don't show up, but we got 25,000 fans looking to take their seats.
Yeah.
You ever go to an NFL game, Charlton, and you have a winning team?
Yep.
There's always people outside trying to buy tickets.
Always.
Right?
Yeah.
Always. Even in Cleveland, when you don't win, they have sellouts. There are certain stadiums, Charlton, that are going to always be filled.
Yeah.
Period. The Ravens will always have one of those stadiums, Charlton, that will be full.
Yep.
All right?
Yeah.
So when you sit there, and even the Giants, with the Giants, you have to buy a personal seat license to buy a ticket.
Yeah.
So those seats are owned by the fans. Don't think that they're walking up buying tickets. Those tickets are already sold years in advance in New York.
Yeah.
So for the Giants to say, well, we got all this hate mail from the fans, how many people live in New York, Charlton?
I think about 8 million last I heard.
New York and New Jersey. You think they would ever have an empty stadium?
No.
They would not. I mean, it's a right of life to go to a Giants game, even a Jets game, as pathetic as they are.
Yeah.
They're constantly having sellouts. So the mayor's using that we got so much hate mail from the fans.
Yeah.
But it was okay for us employing a kicker who was beating up his wife every week.
Yeah.
Right? That was fine. That was acceptable. We didn't ask our fans how they felt about Josh Brown beating up his wife.
That's incredible.
We never sent out any information to our fan base that our kicker was beating up his wife, and that's illegal and a criminal act. But we got information from our fans about this guy who had a peaceful protest about legal injustice in America, and they say they didn't appreciate that in New York. Now, if I think about New York, how much injustice has been done towards minorities in New York? Donald Trump, the president, asked for 5 young black men who had not committed a crime to be put to death.
Yeah.
Okay, in New York.
Yeah.
Eric Gray was choked to death outside of a store several years ago by police officers on video camera, pleading for his life. We've had multiple. We had Josh Blake, the tennis player, attacked outside of a hotel by police officers. Just that Jeff Blake, just standing there.
Yeah.
Okay?
We saw that.
We've seen multiple incidents against African Americans in New York.
Yeah.
Okay? I'm not saying that African Americans are perfect in New York, but we've seen multiple incidents. But for the lying mayor family, the owners, to sit up and say that they were in fear that their fans would protest the games because Colin Kaepernick had a peaceful protest versus Josh Brown beating the crap out of his wife on a weekly basis. How much lies can you tell? I mean, was it the president or was it the mayor family?
Well, Big C, that's a very good point. Back in the day, there was a man by the name of Drew Bandini Brown. He was Muhammad Ali's right-hand man. He had a slogan called Rumble, Young Men Rumble. Big C, what are you looking forward to in the sports universe?
Well, Jonathan, I'm looking forward to a wonderful weekend of preseason football. I mean, it's that time of the year when the juices start to flow.
Yeah.
The sweat is dripping off of the chin. Everybody's getting excited. I mean, we got some great baseball being played right now. Mike Trout is back. He's hot.
Oh, yeah.
And so he's in that MVP race. Carlos Stanton has hit home runs at a record clip right now. He's the only Barry Bonds was hitting them at a better rate than what he's hitting them right now.
Yeah.
And the biggest thing, Jonathan, in sports right now is that we're looking at Derek Jeter and his group is finalizing the paperwork to purchase the Miami Marlins. So next week we may have a new minority owner in professional sports. Also, Michael Jordan is a part of that group, Charles.
Well, Big C Sports is a great way of connecting people. You can also connect people by listening every Monday through Friday at 5 and 6 p.m. to the Big C Sports Network, the #1 sports show in the universe, according to Big C and them good old boys down south. We always want to tell you, there's never any reason for hitting a woman. No one should have to go through that garbage. If you know anyone with trouble, just call 911. Also, as we tell you on every Big C Sports show, we thank you, we appreciate you, and we hope that you have a super fantastic weekend.